So we're locked in right now on Jasmine Crockett, the Democrat Congresswoman out of Texas, a state I call home now. And she's been getting called out lately over several things tied to her liberal campaign push for Senate and in ridiculous public statements she's been making. And honestly, it continues to boggle my mind how someone like her was elected to any political office, especially when you actually stop and listen to the words coming out of her mouth, because an overwhelming majority of the time, they're missing a very, very, very important element. Logic, yes, is usually lacking any bit of logical sense. Take a listen for yourself.
Illegal border crossings are at an unprecedented record low under President Trump, with border encounters at just over 30,000, down more than 75% from this time last year. Daily apprehensions at the southwest border are 95% lower than during the Biden administration. But far-left Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is crying foul.
I will acknowledge that what is being reported is that border encounters are lower. I will also say that we know that this administration has not been the most honest when it comes to reporting numbers.
City law enforcement, local law enforcement, they are always going after crime. And they don't say, oh, you committed a murder? Oh, but you're an immigrant? Well, let me let you go, right? So they are always focused on crime. They continue to say things like the illegals and that they broke the law coming in. But what they're not telling the American people is that it is a civil violation. It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hand. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
Let me ask you about a quote that you've made that has some Democrats worried about your ability to win statewide. In a December 2024 Vanity Fair profile, you talked about, quote, and I'm going to read a lot of the quote just to put it in the context, quote, all the complexities within the Latino community. The immigration thing has always been something that has perplexed me about this community. It's basically like, I fought to get here, but I left y'all where I left y'all, and I want no more y'all to come here. If I wanted to be with y'all, I would stay with y'all, but I don't want y'all coming to my new home. It almost reminds me of what people would talk about when they would talk about kind of like slave mentality and the hate that some slaves would have for themselves. It's almost like a slave mentality that they have. Now, about the time that was published last year, around 1 million Latino voters in Texas were voting for Trump. Do they all have slave mentality?
No, and that's not what that said at all, to be clear.
Yeah, so somebody in Jasmine Crockett's camp may want to inform her. You know, we have this thing called technological advances that have allowed us to do wonderful things thanks to technology, like order whatever you want at the click of a button from your phone. And yeah, also machines that do the picking of the cotton for you. So we don't got to pick cottons no more now. But I'm sorry. People voted for this woman. Keep that in mind. People voted for her. And so recently, Jasmine Crockett announced that she's running for Senate in Texas, looking to flip one of those seats from red to blue, something I personally believe she's going to fail at miserably. But we'll have to wait and see just how big of a dumpster fire it turns into come midterms next year. But in the meantime, she was confronted about the accomplishments of the Trump administration. And as you can probably guess, facts and reality don't really mesh very well with Jasmine Crockett. And so once she was confronted with what may be the Trump administration's most significant achievement, she shifted straight into denial mode. The Trump administration closing the border on day one, exactly as the president promised. And so once again, Jasmine Crockett is faced with a clear, verifiable fact and reality that directly contradicts the narrative she wants to push. And instead of actually just acknowledging it, she refuses to deal with it at all. So let's take a listen.
Look, you obviously see an opening here. Still, this is Texas. The president has a lot of supporters in Texas. And one of the key issues in Texas is, of course, immigration. You, of course, have been an outspoken critic of the president's mass deportation policies and of ICE. But a lot of voters, a lot of Americans who voted for President Trump think that he has done a strong job at the border. In fact, border encounter numbers are down. And the president is touting that as a success. You obviously have issues with the way he's going about it, but has the president been successful? Can you acknowledge that on bringing border encounters down?
I will acknowledge that what is being reported is that border encounters are lower. I will also say that we know that this administration has not been the most honest when it comes to reporting numbers, as we know that there's now reporting that they've not been honest about the jobs numbers.
This is what you call pure denial mode, because the job the president has done at the border is undeniable. Just look at what the border crossings looked like under Biden week after week when we were told the same thing, the border can't be closed. There were always new excuses, Congress, the courts, funding, whatever, you name it. According to them, enforcement was impossible. Then President Trump takes office and suddenly, go figure, no one's coming over. Why? Because ICE, Border Patrol are actually doing their jobs now. Enforcement is real. Consequences are real. And that alone is enough to deter people from even considering taking the risk. Yeah, and so that's what happens when the law is enforced the way it should have been this entire time. But we're talking about Jasmine Crockett here. Let's not forget, this is the same person who tried to pull a so-called gotcha moment with the Epstein files, claiming Republicans connected to Trump received money from Epstein without even bothering to confirm it was the same Epstein. And it wasn't. It was a completely different Jeffrey Epstein. And that right there tells you everything you need to know about the kind of person you're dealing with. No facts, definitely no verification, just wants to say whatever comes out of her head and just push whatever narrative or sloppy accusations that fits whatever she's trying to convince everyone else to believe. And worse come to worse, when the facts get in the way, she doesn't correct herself. She just doubles down on stupid.
What I can tell you is that he has invoked a very inhumane way of carrying out immigration. What I also can tell you is that he has not worked through the Congress, and that's what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. What I also can tell you is that we have a historic number of people that have died in ICE custody since he's been in. What I also can tell you is that we have a historic number of American citizens that have been rounded up. And what I can also tell you is that this Supreme Court, unfortunately, has basically given him carte blanche to go after people because of an accent or because of what they look like, and that is wrong.
Now, the administration will come back and say that it is the Biden administration who was inhumane by allowing chaos, in their words, to go forward at the border, that it was a chaotic policy and that there was a lot of sex trafficking going on by a lot of the migrants that were coming to the U.S. The Trump White House says they've cut down on that. Your response?
They may say that, but ultimately what I know is that we can't so let me say it this way. I can't say that the border has ever been perfect, and I can't say that I believe that the border is perfect right now. So let me acknowledge that.
And right there, you see the disingenuous level she's willing to go to just to push her agenda, just to push her message. I mean, can anything with humans being a variable ever be perfect? I mean, of course not. But compared to where the border was and the condition it was in the prior administration versus under Trump, is night and day. It's about as close to perfect as you're going to get, considering all things and how it was being managed in the past. I mean, look at Texas, the state she represents a district in. Under the Biden administration, Texas was repeatedly blocked from enforcing border measures. Not because Texas wasn't trying, but because the federal government stepped in and said, you don't have the authority. And what was allowed was basically a cascade of illegal invaders who entered the country. And the fact that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in a border state yet can't even acknowledge the most basic facts about what was happening at the border tells you everything you need to know about how unprepared and unqualified she is for the job. She's not going to win over Trump supporters, and she's not going to win over independents. And here's the thing. When you hear Democrats begin to talk about comprehensive immigration reform, what they really mean is something very, very specific. And they never say it plainly. What they really mean is mass legal immigration. Then they will have a bunch of Californias. That's what they want. They want to legalize everyone who's already here legally, no consequences, no removals, just amnesty, legal status, and eventually a path to citizenship. Then once that's done, they want to open the door even wider while pretending the border is somehow secure. Just take a look at what's happening across the sea in Europe.
What I do believe, again, though, is that we need to focus on comprehensive immigration reform, and that means that Congress has to get involved, because what I can tell you is that we had already been behind on asylum cases. We know that our judges had already been overloaded, and that was prior to COVID. We're talking about a backlog of 7 years. That was not making it safe for us because we were not ascertaining whether or not certain people should be in this country.
And quickly, Senator Cornyn reacted to your Senate campaign. He told Semaphore, quote, "Am I hiding my glee? I'll try to wipe the smile off my face. I would say it's a gift." Colin Allred, obviously, wasn't successful before, but he was what I would call closer to a normal Democrat than Jasmine. She is something else. What's your response?
Yeah, well, you know what? Considering the fact that normal Democrats have been losing, I think that this is absolutely the fight that we need at this moment.
That's not adding up. That's not 1 + 1 = 2. And so her logic is, well, the normal Democrats who were more moderate or at least sensible, they couldn't get the job done, so here I come. The far left progressive Democrat who runs on identity politics 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I'm going to be the one who actually turns Texas from red to blue. Give me a break.
I also can tell you that it's quite disappointing that the senator has decided that he has to kind of tout this negative kind of persona in order to win over in his primary. I can tell you that the senator, frankly, when there came down to certain things, he was a good partner. I had legislation that I brought from the state level around fentanyl. He's been a partner on that legislation. I had legislation around food security. He's been a partner on that legislation. We actually had President Joe Biden signed a bill of ours into law that was about grant transparency. He actually was more like a normal Republican than these times have called for. But I do think that in this current environment, we probably don't need a normal Democrat if we are going to do the abnormal thing like winning in Texas.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, we thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, ladies and gentlemen, the Congresswoman out of Texas. Now, I do live in Texas, so I will do my part to make sure she is not elected and represents the state of Texas in the Senate. But either way, I don't think she has a snowball's chance in the middle of the Texas summer heat at actually winning in the state of Texas. I don't think she has a chance, not when you are talking about the way Texas is run. And, you know, what she's able to get away with in her district in Dallas, because that whole persona, sister girl, I'ma tell her how it is, I keep it real persona works there. Across the entire state of Texas we're talking about, I don't really see that meshing too well. I believe on a state level, that whole gimmick and act isn't really gonna fly over as well as it does in her district. But, you know, let her give it the old college try and see if she can go out there and get it. I mean, for all we know, she may not even make it out the primaries, and this could be a moot point. But once again, 2026 is going to reveal a lot. I mean, ultimately, this looks like it spells the end of her political career right now. Unless something else comes up, we'll have to wait and see. She can't go and run for her seat in the House anymore. That district, because of Texas maps, has been taken away, and she has no chance at that. So if this doesn't work out the way she is hoping for, unfortunately, we will lose some reporting material when it comes to some of the more deranged politicians like Jasmine Crockett that we end up reviewing and speaking about on this channel. But nonetheless, you guys let me know what you think. As always, smash that thumbs up. That tells me you love the video. Subscribe to the channel for more and share this video. That way more people see what's really going on. Until next time.